1 million
all right,
AXA bribe.
on the 6th of August 2026, and the federal jury in Brooklyn, Abusia, New York, etumi a convicted Asante Kweku Berko, Abusia, charges ni na say, watumi atua over $1 million bribe, edi ama some high-ranking Ghanaian government officials. Just say, Abusia, won aba semwa papay. It is alleged that top government officials just say why you ready so obebo omudin and for this bribe no edema omon why you ready so obebo omudin because onye ready so no kwa ebeko akodem ewo jail for 13 years na ene black pastor edi nkomo na nkomo wadi ne no abusua ano edin ye pa ni na efa aksa abusua Asante Kwaku Berko Mayenko na yintie this kind issue at this time round black pastor to me at the ababon just wa abusia ensem wo ho ensem de ebi wo ho papa just during another da Kwaku fado ne term ne de abusia na nya asem ayedi edi agbo yintie black pastor na ensem de ato de na sese ha eda so aye be media je be se wa se ene de di kan woni ke channel so be se subscribe like na wa bo aso asha papa person be tie no anya bi atie yintie ensem a Black Pastor Edia Betuja, if I former CEO of Tema Oil Refinery, MSCA.
1 million AXA bribe. See list of who took what as Kwabna Donko cries. Woo! We broke the news here on Friday and it went viral. This is the home of exclusives. There is this guy called Asante Kweku Berko. He's a 52-year-old. Correct? This is the gentleman. In 2014, he was in America working with so many huge, prestigious financial outfits. And he used his connections and leverage that to be able to get Ghana to endorse AXA Energy from Turkey to fight our Dumso. AXA Energy, AKSA Energy, all the way from Turkey. We all remember when Mahama came, his first tenure, there was Dumso all over the place. In fact, his middle name became Dumso. We voted him out of power majorly because of Dumso. Mahama left the presidency with Dumso hanging around his neck like an albatross. In fact, when we were even going for the next elections, that brought him into power. The biggest campaign message was not only about the free SHS, it was against Dumso. Don't bring Dumso back. It hurt Mahama a lot and the people of Ghana. Now there was one man who had all the connections and he allegedly brought AXA Energy to Ghana. But how did he do it? He poured holy rain on a lot of our officials, allegedly. He allegedly gave $1 million American to the then Minister of Power, one Kwabna Donko. Kwabna Donko, we all remember, resigned in 2016 because he had failed to stop Dumso. He had put his position on the line, his ministry on the line, and told the whole Ghana, I am going to stop Dumso, but if I'm unable to stop it, I am a patriot. I love Ghana. I come from the school of Kwame Nkrumah. I will resign. And true to his words, he came out boldly and told us that he had failed to stop Dumso. And for that matter, he was resigning. Many Ghanaians begged him to stay on despite the fact that he had failed. They hadn't seen this kind of integrity amongst politicians ever, except probably in the days of Amma Ata Edu as education minister, who resigned because she wasn't able to achieve what she came to achieve for the educational system in Ghana. This is Kwabena Donkor, the first minister of power that we ever had in the days of Mahama. Unbeknownst to Ghanaians, he allegedly pocketed some $1 million American dollars. Remember, it was the dream of a politician later, my brother, my sister, to just earn $1 million American dollars and she would be sorted out for good. We all remember Victoria Hammer, don't we? He got his $1 million American dollars allegedly, and he walked out quietly, probably to say, to hell with this ministry. I have the trouble. According to the American files, even though it wasn't mentioned exactly how much he got or his name mentioned, we have some clue. Today we have a lot of information for you. Come here. First and foremost, let's go to AKSA, AKSA from Turkey. How did they perpetuate this evil plan? Run the doors here and watch this. Kai. AKSA Energy is Turkey's largest publicly listed independent power producer, operating an international network of thermal, gas-fired, and renewable energy facilities. Established in 1997 as a subsidiary of Kazanchi Holding, the company operates across multiple nations, including Turkey, Cyprus, Ghana, Madagascar, Mali, Senegal, Gabon, and Burkina Faso. With a global installed capacity exceeding 3,500 megawatts, AKSA has re-entered major headlines due to its dual footprint in Africa, expanding its massive energy contracts across Ghana, while simultaneously sitting at the center of a federal U.S. bribery trial. And this is what we are interested in. It has done a lot of work in Takrady, also in Kumasi Flip, making electricity in Ghana enviable. My brother, my sister, but this is where the problem is. It's made Ghana the single largest hub of access 2,240 megawatts broader African portfolio. While AKSA continues to build out power infrastructure, its company's early entry into the Ghanaian market a decade ago, 2016, when this man was resigning, Kwabena Donkor, became the focal point of a major international corruption case. Flip. On the 6th of August 2026, a U.S. federal jury in Brooklyn, New York, convicted former Goldman Sachs investment banker Asante Berko for orchestrating a massive bribery scheme on behalf of AKSA, then a Goldman client. Now, court evidence proved that between 2014 and 2017, Berko, senior Turkish energy executives and Ghanaian intermediaries funneled over $1 million American in illicit bribes to senior Ghanaian government officials, including $46,000 American distributed directly to members of parliament to secure ratification for AKSA's original 5-year power plan deal. And this is the most interesting part: concealment and holy reign. The conspirators and co-conspirators utilize shell corporations such as Tricor Group, fake consulting invoices, and coded language referring to income bribe payouts as holy reign to move money via New York banks. Holy reign. My brother, my sister, this was what happened. Dash. Who did the 1 million go to? Who did the money go to? Who received $46,000 American? Now, from the information that is available to us, $46,000 American each went to members of parliament who were part of the Energy Committee of Parliament. At the time, who were these people? Watch this. Now, during the 2015 parliamentary consideration of the AKSA Emergency Power Agreement, the Select Committee on Mines and Energy comprised 18 members of parliament who reviewed and recommended the contract prior to its approval by the full House. Now, drawn from the official 2015 Committee of Selection Recomposition report of the Parliament of Ghana, the specific members include committee leadership: Alhaji Amadou Bukari Sorogo, he's belonging to the NDC, Medina. He was the chairman. The vice chairman was Adam Mutawakilu, NDC, Damongo. Kwabena Tahir, aka KT Hammond, ranking member, NPP, Adanse Aswa. Can I give you more names? Can I give you more names? Flip. Watch this. Edward M. Enin, deputy ranking member, NPP, Obwasi East. And then committee members, Kletus Avoka, NDC, Zebila. Alhaji Muhammad Muntaka Mubarak, NDC, Asawase. Mahama Nasr Ture, NDC, Ayawaso East. Gershon KB Bediame, NDC, Nkwanta South. Salfu Amin, NDC, Wa East. Kwajo Emmanuel Ajekum, Nkranza South, NDC. Michael Kofi Buampo, NDC, Bia West. Matthias Kwame Nto, NDC, Awing. Dr. Stephen Nana Atwata, NPP, Commander Edna Eguafu Ebrim. Isaac Kwame Esiama, NPP, Echima Mponya. William Owureku Edu, NPP, Efija Kwabre South. Mustafa Yusuf, NPP, Yagaba Kabore. Benjamin Kofi Aye, NPP, Upper Denchra West. Joseph Kujo, NPP, Efia. The members who allegedly pocketed 46,000 American dollars each. Now, I decided to get more information about this, and I did get. You know what it is? Now, this is the sad thing about the Ghana Parliament. When they are considering a certain contract, the select committee that sits on such a contract, they are most of the time sponsored by the company whose contract they are considering. Can I explain it further? I am saying, in the case of AKSA, while AKSA was being considered to come into Ghana and help solve Dumso, AKSA was responsible for paying the per diems per the sitting of all the committee members. And at the end of the sitting, each one of them allegedly got 46,000 American dollars. You may not consider it a bribe, but let your conscience speak. You are going to mark a student's script. A student has written an examination. Teacher, you are going to mark. Anytime you sit down to mark, the student brings you free food from his pocket. The juicier the food, the softer the hand, isn't it? He who feeds you controls you. The contract, the consideration of AKSA into Ghana, my brother, my sister, was being considered by Parliament. And the same AKSA group was paying the committee members of Parliament to sit. Now, people like the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, the Zwarungu boy, the Stanford lawyer, the cigar-chomping Zwarungu dog eater, one Dr. Dominic Akuritinga Ayene, have fought against this blatant bribery. can you allow a contractor whose job you are going to consider for your nation to be paying you for sitting to consider this? It's bribery, absolutely. Legal bribery. My brother, my sister, the country is sick. Can the country finance this? Don't we have enough money to pay for committee sittings, yet we are always forming committees? Konumti. Now I understand why Ghanaians call committees konumti or konumti. 46,000 American dollars each for all 18. And then 1 million, big chunk, they allegedly gave it to Bosu himself. There's another guy called Francis Jatta. He was the senior power advisor around the time. He's also in there. But I have good news for you. There would be something big coming up, and we're going to tell you that in this edition. But Oliver Barker Vomawo, how many of us know him? He's a lawyer, Abu Trike's lawyer. He himself was picked up and locked up for utterances he had made and some other things like that. And getting bail was always a problem for my brother. But he succeeded in getting bail. He published something on his Facebook wall today about Kwabena Donkor. And it made interesting reading. This is Osajifu Oliver Barker Mawusi Vomawo. Yesterday, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, former Minister of Power, called me to discuss the Berko conviction and the media interest in the matter. We had a long and frank chat. The former minister denied categorically that he had received any money from Mr. Berko and said that he had never interacted with the man. So if he didn't receive from Mr. Berko, did he receive from AXA directly? He should be telling us whether he received any 1 million around the case. It doesn't matter who he got it from. He added that as a cadre committed to the ideals of the revolution, he did not and would not betray his country in that manner. Fair enough, thank God. I was frank. I told him that when I first heard the news, I immediately thought it was him because his name was the only one anyone would associate with the Ministry of Power. I didn't actually remember he was not the only one. I said I was very disappointed personally because I have over the years held him up as an example of ethical leadership. Not many public servants promise to resign when they don't solve a crisis and actually follow through. So I don't take this call for granted. Oh yes. And hope that the promised investigation establishes the truth of what actually happened. He said he welcomed the news of an impending investigation and believes it will clear him. He mentioned that he had been advised by his lawyers not to speak publicly on the matter, but that they will soon issue a statement on the issue. This is Oliver Barker Vomawo. And he didn't end there. He drew my attention to a couple of things and had some views on what could possibly have happened. But these are things that any investigation should and would establish. So I will speak further on those. This is what I will say, however. When I read the FBI statement on the conviction of Mr. Berko, it said he had been convicted of conspiring to pay and also paying. And in respect of the minister, it said in April 2015, Berko and the conspirators discussed paying $1 million American dollars to the Minister of Power, who was responsible for securing key approvals and enabling the project to progress. Dash. So this is Oliver Barker Vomawo talking about his very good friend who he holds up in high esteem. Not many such people remain in this country. But with the youth, we have hope. We are building them up to break away from the chains of Sakawa and romance scam so they can uphold the ethics of integrity. That's where we stand. We don't need the white man's money to be able to grow. We don't need to steal to be able to grow. 1 million bribe. Former Minister Kwabena Donkor denied categorically that he had received any money from Mr. Berko. Yes, Mr. Berko. How about anything associated with AXA? This is Dr. Kwabena Donkor. Now, he said that his lawyers will release a statement, and they did. What are the lawyers saying? Cavendish Chambers. Allegation of bribery in the U.S. case of Mr. Asante Berko. We act on the instructions of our client, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, whose name has come to be associated with the above matters, which are doing the rounds on various social media platforms. Our client instructs us in very crystal clear language that he has absolutely no knowledge about the allegations linked to him. He completely and emphatically denies any knowledge of a request or demand for any money as alleged. Our client accepts that he was the relevant minister at the time material. This is a matter of public record. Our client also admits that the state, through his then ministry, the Ministry of Power, negotiated with AXA Energy for the generation of electric power in Ghana during the relevant period. This was at the time when the country was going through the worst phase of what came to be termed as doomsday. It was a time for extreme power emergency when the country experienced extreme load shedding. He further instructs us that during the course of his negotiation, a technical team from all the electric power stakeholders in the country was sent to Istanbul, listen, Istanbul, Turkey, to inspect the equipment which was to generate the required electricity in Ghana. This was and is the regular practice of pre-shipment inspection. But the point is, who paid for the trip? It's in the American documents that these people were taken out there, all expense paid, and they lived in luxury for the days that they were in Istanbul. And we talked about it yesterday. If you have a client, it is your duty, especially that you are working for a country, to pay for your people to go in there and return so that you will not be trapped with any luxury. Oh yes. 6, according to our client, at no point in the course of his negotiation did he once set eyes on the said Mr. Asante Berko, nor has he since. In very plain language, our client states very strongly and unambiguously that he has never met the said Mr. Asante Berko all his life. B, he never discussed any personal benefit or any value whatsoever with Mr. Asante Berko or any other person for that matter. C, he never authorized any person to discuss any such matters on his behalf. D, he never received any money in any denomination or any personal benefit of any value from Mr. Asante Berko or any other person. E, any person or persons who may have made any such criminal demand in his name did so for that person or person's own benefit. Our client does not understand that any evidence was led in the U.S. trial which linked him with demanding or receiving any money, cedis or dollars, or anything of value to him personally. 9, he does not accept that evidence that some other person or persons claimed that they required money from their principals for the benefit of senior Ghana official or any other title holder metamorphosed into any evidence of criminality or wrongdoing against him. We are instructed to notify the general public accordingly and to state that any publication or statement of any kind which could be interpreted as contrary to the instructions clearly stated above and which will seek to impugn on the reputation and integrity of our client shall result in immediate legal proceedings. And this is K.T. Hammond, head of Chambers. Do you remember K.T. Hammond? He was also part of the committee that allegedly took the 46,000 American dollars. So they are both in the same ship. Interesting, isn't it? Our prayer is that this is not true, and that is a mistaken identity. Our prayer is that we'll get to the bottom of it. But EOCO is already getting into the bottom of it. And you know when we talk about EOCO, we are talking about that blue suit wearing gray beard dude, the dangerous guy called Capo di Tutti Capi, aka Capo Ray. This is Raymond Archer. He's the boss of EOCO. Today, he released a quick statement. Interesting. What did he say in that statement? Interesting. In fact, they aided the American people to be able to go through this. They were talking with the American people to and fro. And everything has been done. But they are going on to continue with investigations regarding all these committee MPs and all the people in the power ministry. And they will get to the bottom of it. And the final thing they said in their statement touched my nerves. I was so excited. Well, let's look at it briefly. EOCO's statement on the conviction of Asante Berko case and related investigations. Now, the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, acknowledges the substantial public interest in the case involving Mr. Asante Berko, a former Goldman Sachs investment banker who subsequently served as managing director of the Tema Oil Refinery in respect of allegations of bribery arising from his period in the private sector. EOCO wishes to assure the public that it has been attentive to the developments in this matter and has within its statutory mandate been engaged with the relevant authorities regarding the Ghanaian dimension of the case. Did you hear that? Last year, EOCO received a request from his counterparts in the United States in connection with investigations into the alleged bribery scheme. Now, the request sought information relating to specific individuals in Ghana who were considered relevant to the investigations, including a former Minister of State and public servants. And of course, we now know the former Minister of State, don't we? We have some other names, but we won't release them now, okay? Of course, we gave you one more name, one Francis Jatta. He was the advisor, power advisor, senior advisor. Now, following receipt of the request, EOCO, in collaboration with the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, commenced preliminary work in relation to the Ghanaian aspects of the matter. Now, the office also closely monitored the proceedings in the United States, given the nature of the allegations and the international dimensions of the case. EOCO considered the evidence emerging from the U.S. proceedings to be potentially material to determining the appropriate scope and direction of any comprehensive investigation in Ghana. This approach was deliberate. EOCO's responsibility is not merely to commence investigations for the sake of public perception. Did you hear that? This is a straight bullet. Can I say that again? This approach was deliberate. EOCO's responsibility is not merely to commence investigations for the sake of public perception. No, they are not here to please the public or to seem to be working. They want to work. But to ensure that investigations are properly grounded in evidence, conducted lawfully and capable, where appropriate of supporting subsequent criminal proceedings and asset recovery action. Yes. Now, following the conclusion of the proceedings in the United States and the conviction of Mr. Asante Berko, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice immediately engaged the appropriate U.S. authorities and will, through lawful channels, obtain relevant evidence, records, and information necessary to advance the Ghanaian investigation, which began last year. So the American people are finished with the investigation. All we need to do is to go and get the documents, and we have a deal with them. I can tell you that the information is already on the table of the Attorney General. My God. My God. Now, the Attorney General has subsequently directed EOCO to escalate its investigations as the relevant information and official records are obtained from the competent authorities in the United States. Now, EOCO has accordingly commenced the process of intensifying its investigation into the Ghanaian dimension of the matter. And the word there is intensifying. It's been investigating it for some time now. Now it's time to pull the plug. Importantly, and consistent with its statutory mandate, asset tracing and recovery form form an integral part of EOCO's investigative plan in this matter. Now, the office will examine where, supported by evidence, whether any process, benefits, assets, or property may have been derived from or connected to suspected criminal conduct, and where the law permits pursue the appropriate measures for their preservation, recovery, and restitution to the state. EOCO's mandate extends beyond establishing whether an offense has been committed, where economic or organized crime results in the unlawful acquisition or dissipation of public resources. The recovery of such resources is an essential component of the investigative and enforcement process. Now, the office therefore intends to follow the evidence and financial trail, including any relevant transactions, beneficiaries, assets, and proceeds that may fall within the jurisdiction. EOCO wishes to emphasize, however, that the conclusion of proceedings against Mr. Berko in the United States does not by itself establish criminal liability on the part of any person in Ghana. Any individual whose name appears in evidence obtained through the international cooperation process will be assessed independently on the basis of the evidence relevant to that person and in accordance with the Ghanaian law. Interesting. Now, EOCO further wishes to assure the public that its collaboration with the U.S. law enforcement authorities and the Attorney General's office remains active. The process of obtaining relevant records through lawful international cooperation is critical to ensuring that any Ghanaian investigation is comprehensive, evidence-based, and capable of producing a lawful outcome. Now, the office appreciates the legitimate public interest in this matter. At the same time, EOCO will not disclose sensitive operational information that will compromise ongoing investigations, the integrity of evidence, or any other future prosecution. And this is the part that interests me most. EOCO remains committed to following the evidence without fear or favor. And this is Capo di Tutti Capi, the blue suit wearing, gray bearded dude. This is a beast when it comes to investigations, law and order. He's a patriot. This is Raymond Archer. Now, EOCO worked with the American people to be able to convict this guy. But the office of the special prosecutor was also part of it. And the office of the special prosecutor is headed by Kisie Jabeng. They've lost a lot of fire because of the law case right there at the Supreme Court for interpretation. Remember, now they are back, full force. They also just released a statement. And what did they say? Conviction of Asante, Berko, international cooperation in action. And this is what they are saying. They said that they were part of it right from the start. Oh, yes. And they helped the American people to be able to grab this guy. They gave information as well. My brother, my sister, dash. So that is what it is. The office of the special prosecutor, EOCO, they came together under the auspices of the Office of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice to be able to deal with this issue. My brother, my sister, this is where the case is. The man will go in there for a maximum of 30 years. He will come back when he's probably 80 years old. By what time I might be 80 myself. My brother, is it worth the crime? How much did you get? You're going to be in prison? I don't know where he's going to be imprisoned, whether he's going to be allowed conjugal visits or not. I don't know. Would he have his favorite wine in prison? Would he have the necessary warmth from his family in prison? His children are going to be raised by a single mother. That's if the mother is alive. Is it worth the crime? It's the black pot, aka Kokoshonamo. And here, we speak truth to power.